I scorch the earth with these hot lines for the millionth time. Fire and brimstone erupting from the microphone. I steal the show and like a thief.
We're coming to you a day later than usual this week, and for a second straight week, we're playing a man down. Producer Zach Heiser survived his adult rec league basketball debut, but co-host Effie James couldn't make it in this week because we're recording a day later than usual. But Zach, welcome back, and I think everyone's just dying to know how did it go last week?
Yeah, I'm sure. The ankles are still holding up, so we're fine. A little sore post game, but we're doing all right.
Right. Another member of our team joined you this week. Fellow producer Hayden Gray filled in last. Hayden, tell us about your debut. How was it?
It was good. I didn't quite know what Zach was getting me into, but it was a rambunctious group of fellas, and it was good to get moving. It was good to be back in the gym.
And Hayden and I ended up on the same team.
We did.
The 3-on-3 draws, so we went 2-1 on the night.
I understand you were the youngest guy in the room, and it wasn't especially close.
No, I don't. I think Zach would probably have been the next closest to me. No offense, Zach, but we are a decade apart. So, but they at least welcomed me in. I didn't know if they would.
Shout out to the FBA.
Yeah, I tell you, old man basketball is not for the faint of heart. It's
no.
What old guys lack in athleticism, they make up for in fouling.
I thought you were going to say intelligence.
Well, that too, but they are a wily bunch. Well, we had a guest lined up this week, but he texted this afternoon and said he would be unable to join us, but we'd already ordered the pizza, so we decided to go ahead and record a playoff update show, so there's no sense in letting perfectly good pizza go to waste. No. This is week 3 of the new look postseason for teams ranked in the top 4 in their regions, though this is only their second week. Those top 4 seeds all got first-round byes, and they jumped back into the fray last weekend. The teams that had first-round byes were a combined 85 and 27 last week, which is, that's saying something. The number 1 seeds were 26-2. Number 2 seeds were 24-4. It got a little closer for the 3s and 4s, not surprisingly. 3 seeds were 18-10, and 4 seeds were 17-11. The teams that were supposed to win, I guess, won, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like it. So the first 4 seeds got byes.
Yeah, the top 4 seeds, since they went from 16 to 12, so those top 4 got a bye this week.
And who were the 2 big upsets with the number 1 seeds? I know Danville beat a number 2 seed, right?
Danville was an 11. They beat a 2 last week, and we'll get to that. But it happened in Region 20 of Division 5. I'm not sure who that was. It happened in Region 22 of Division 6, and that's Cary, a team that's kind of a local team. They play in an adjacent conference in the N10, and I think they started the season with 3 straight losses. They go out and schedule big time, and this is why they do it. There's only one 12 seed still remaining after the opening 2 weeks, and not surprisingly, that team comes from the Midwest Athletic Conference, the Mighty Mac out in the western part of Ohio. Division 7 Fort Recovery knocked off number 5 Cincinnati College Prep in the opener, then roughed up number 28's number 4 seed, previously unbeaten Beaver Eastern 38-6 last week. Now Fort Recovery has the unenviable task of playing Goliath Marion local this week in the regional semis. Marion's a fellow member of the MAC and the undisputed heavyweight champion of small school football in Ohio and maybe the nation. The Flyers have won 4 straight state championships and have a national best 75-game active winning streak.
You said 75
in a row, if my math is correct. Now, Marion beat Fort Recovery 41-7 during the regular season on their way to another MAC championship. Fort Recovery, they tied for 6th in the MAC, and they are one of the top 16 teams remaining in Division 7. That tells you everything you need to know about MAC football.
Yeah, that's incredible. I know we talk about it all the time, but they truly are probably one of those that you could put up there as the small school divisions in the nation, and it's just great team after great team after great team. They all beat up each other during the regular season, but that helps them come postseason.
Yeah, they cannibalize each other out there it's harder to win a MAC championship than it is to win a state championship for some of those teams.
And Marion locals won how many state championships?
4
in a
state
row?
championships in a row.
Across that 75 game win streak.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they did it in Division 7 and Division 6 both. They've kind of bounced up back and forth. I think 3 of them were in Division 7 maybe and 1 in D6. The year before that, which was the COVID year, they lost in the regional championship game to a MAC team that went on to win the state championship, and that was Marion's only loss that year. So it stands to reason that they probably would have won the state championship that year if they hadn't run into it is a juggernaut out there.
Yeah.
And the year before that was 2019 when Lucas made it all the way.
Right,
all the
and
way down
Marion
to-
won.
or up to Canton. And they played Marion that year, right?
Right,
So,
and Marion won it. I think Marion had some losses during the regular season that year, but yeah, it's unbelievable what Tim Goodwin has done out there in
really
the
is.
western part of the state. Actually, it was Fort Recovery and Marion Local who kind of lit the fuse to this year's playoff format change last year. Marion was a number 1 seed in Region 28 last year. And I think there were 3 teams that tapped out. They opted out.
Yeah.
They didn't want to have anything to do with them.
they didn't want that smoke.
Yeah, and Fort Recovery was, I think, finished 19th or 20th in the region. Well, they just kept getting bumped up into that 16th spot, and they absolutely they wanted to go have the experience and play in the playoffs. And what do you know? Look what they're doing this year. That kind of paid off for them.
That's interesting. I mean, you hear that a lot, and college and pro sports and stuff about how like you can get young teams and you get momentum just from getting that playoff experience, even though you might be a year or 2 ahead from where your maturity point. You think that? I mean, just speculation, but do you think that really helped them? Like, did
Absolutely.
They have a lot of returners for this year?
And we've talked about a lot of this all year long. I mean, you got to play in those games to learn how to win those games. And, just the experience for them. I mean, yeah, they got thumped and Fort Recovery got roughed up in that regional opener last year. But, I mean, I think the evidence stands on its own here. I mean, they've won 2 games as a lower seed this year, and here they are getting another swing at the Flyers, and it's going to be it's a David versus Goliath situation. But I bet you they wouldn't trade that for the world.
Right.
Yeah, and I think I like that because I think we have some teams around here that are going to be showing us that throughout this postseason. Those teams that have, Hillsdale is one of them that comes to mind, who had to play that game last year to get experience this year. Another local team, Shelby, over the past few years has had to come up against some giants,
right.
and they've struggled and learned what it's like to have to compete at that level. So, but like you said, I think with the first 2 rounds underway here, I think you summarize it pretty good. I think that teams are doing what they have supposed to have done, and I think so far we've taken a step in the right direction from the bigger field.
Right, and that whole situation last year kind of led us to playoff contraction, and that's where we are now. And 2 weeks in, we'll talk about the local teams, but before we turn our attention to North Central Ohio, let's take a minute to thank our sponsor, Graham Auto Mall. Whether you're cruising in for a new ride or keeping your current one in top shape, Graham Auto Mall has you covered. Shop a huge selection of new and pre-owned vehicles or trust their expert service team to keep you on the road. If you're in the market for a vehicle, stop by Graham at 1515 West 4th Street in Mansfield or visit GrahamAutomall.com. Graham Auto Mall, your hometown dealer. Now, as we turn our focus here to the 3-county coverage area that we pay attention to most, I think we have 5 teams seeded in the top 4 last week, so they all had first-round byes, and then they played last week, and 4 of those teams won last week. The one team that lost was Lexington, and it wasn't because the Minutemen were rusty coming off the bye week. Lex had
Tough draw.
Probably the worst draw in all of Division III. The reward for going 9-1 and winning the OCC was a date with Toledo Central Catholic, who was seeded 6th. I've covered a lot of high school football over the years, and that absolutely. And I was there last week. At Toledo Central Catholic didn't look like a traditional number 6 seed. They play in the Catholic High School League in Detroit, and if you know anything about high school football, you know the Central Division of that Detroit Catholic League is probably among the toughest in the country. I think it's pretty safe to say. Toledo had 4 regular season losses. Those teams are a combined 39-3 right now.
Wow.
And it's not like Central Catholic was getting blown out in any of those games. We talked to Seven Allen last week from Lexington, and that was the game Lex wanted. They were looking forward to the challenge because they had played them the year before. But Zach, we kind of had a feeling Lex had had to play a perfect game.
That first drive looked pretty nice.
Yeah.
Joey Football, they were calling him on OHSA TV. I did pay $10 to watch the game as a Lex grad.
Right, absolutely.
Had to get excited for it, and and then Avery Crawford's injury really seemed to. What was the reaction like that? You were there.
Well, I mean, I was standing right near it, and we wish Avery the best of luck in his recovery.
Yeah.
It was a he kind of got rolled up on it. Seemed like he was, he's a receiver and he's blocking downfield, and the play's kind of coming up behind him. It's stuff that happens, and you never see it coming. But it was not good. They got an air cast on it, and they stretchered him off the field. And I think, from what I understand, he had to have surgery. We absolutely wished him a speedy recovery.
For sure. And great season by Lex. I mean, winning the OCC is a big deal. I know it doesn't seem like. Do you guys think the conference championships are kind of overlooked a little bit these days?
I have absolutely thought that it's kind of become that way a little bit. I think the vast playoff field was a part of it. I think just because more teams realized, hey, we don't have to win a conference title. We don't have to win, dare I say, 5 games, and then we'll make it in, so it's okay.
Right.
So I think this year was a kind of a step finally. I just always fall back on, I think, my junior year. We were 6-4, weren't conference champs, still thought we had a decent year, and didn't make it in the playoffs. And, you got teams over the past few years that have made it in with 2 wins, 3 wins.
Right.
So I think, Effie always touches on it and does a great job of reminding kids how proud they should be of a conference title. And I think that we're starting to get back to seeing how hard that is of an accomplishment.
Right. I mean, if winning those things was easy, everyone would have a conference championship banner hanging in their trophy case. It's hard to do.
Yeah, it's just tough. First round. I mean, that draw is just brutal.
It is.
And TCC had their tight end is going to Notre Dame.
Which they were loaded.
Lex has got the playmakers as well, but
right.
Just in the trenches, they were just so much bigger.
Yeah.
Braden Fogel did have a nice touchdown grab over who's the corner for TCC.
Victor Singleton, who's going to A&M. He's the number 1 recruit in the state, and there was an awful lot of talent on that football field.
Yeah,
probably as much as I've seen.
A coverage dream.
25 years, right?
There was. I wish they could have kept it a little closer, but wasn't in the cards. And who's TCC got this week?
I think it's Wapak, who's a team from the Western Buckeye League, Wapakoneta. And I think they won the Western Buckeye. And best of luck to Wapakoneta. It's going to take a perfect game to knock that knock that Central Catholic team out of the tournament.
Right. I mean, you think is TCC one of the favorites to win that region?
Well, I would say the region for sure. Now, when you get to the state semifinal, there's some other really good teams in Division III coming through other regions. So it would be foolish to
Curt, remind me,
discount them.
I don't want to butcher Drew's last name. Drew Pastor, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
On the Fantastic 50, he's got TCC as a 43% chance to win the Division III state title.
Well, there you go.
Is that the leading? Is that the highest?
No, the only one he's got ahead of that is Bishop Watterson at a 47.
Yeah, so those are that's potentially I guess it just depends on how they match up in the state semifinals, and that's assuming that those teams get there. They could meet in the semifinals, but that'd make for a fun state championship game.
Now, last thing about Lex, and I'll ask you the same thing about Ashland, which we'll get to. But what do you think? I know it's a little early to look ahead for next year. They got a lot of graduating seniors, but
way too early alarm.
It's way too early. Are they going to be back? Do you think this? I don't know, the success this year is going to propel them a little bit, or is it kind of a rebuild with that graduating class?
It's a 20-man senior class, and that's
a lot of positions.
Even at the Division III level, the bigger school level, that's a lot of guys, and a lot of guys they've relied on pretty heavily for the past at least three, and in some cases all 4 years for those kids. So Andrew Saris has done a really good job down there in his time. I think this is his fourth season, because these seniors were freshmen when he got the job. So this was, it was kind of an emotional night for him, just because this is the first group he's seen.
Yeah, that's tough.
All the way through last Friday. But he's done a nice job of kind of putting the foundation in place there. Will there be a drop off? I would stands to reason that there'd be some bit of a drop off.
Right, I wouldn't fault them at all if there's a little bit of growing pain.
Sure. The other area team we lost last week was Ashland, and it was brutal. The Arrows went to DeSales and down in Columbus and dropped a heartbreaker, 33-29, and Division II, Region 7. DeSales scored the game-winning touchdown with 5 seconds remaining. Quarterback R.J. Day, the son of Ohio State coach Ryan Day, hooked up with tight end Jordan Karhoff on a 3-yard pass. Karhoff is 6'4", a 4-star tight end recruit with more than 30 Division I offers, and he's an Ohio State target. The kid he jumped over was 5'10" and 160 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean,
and he had a nice leap too. The Ashland defender.
Absolutely, it's just. I mean, what do? You tip your hat to a kid who went out there and made a play.
Made a big play at a big moment too.
Absolutely, R.J. Day threw for a school record 484 yards. Drove to DeSales 90 yards with no timeouts and 2 minutes to play. It wasn't a case of Ashland beating itself by any stretch of the imagination. DeSales won the game.
Oh yeah. It's always one of those where, of course, and that clip is fantastic.
Right.
It's great. You got the haze, the fog, everything about it is absolutely nuts. But it's going to be hard to convince anyone from Ashland that one play didn't cost you the game. But I'm sure as they have time to look back and understand, it's never just one play. Right. Coach Valentine, I'm sure, knows that and tries to reinforce that. But they kept it close. They were down. They had a fairly sizable hill to climb to even get back in position, I believe. So,
and it brings the end to Nathan Bernhardt's career, who is one of the.
Yes,
it's Ashland has had a long string of really good quarterbacks, and
who's next?
And if you're if you're building a Mount Rushmore of Ashland quarterbacks, I'd say it's Taylor Hellstrait and Marcus Fuller, and you better get the chisel sharpened up because Nathan Bernhard should be on there too.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, as far as looking ahead for Ashland, is it as big of a graduating class as Lex? I know Bernhard is obviously
our part-timer in Ashland, Doug Hayden. He was the longtime sports editor at the Ashland Times-Gazette, and he has a lot of connections over there. And I was asking him that very question, who's up next, and he said they got some kids in the pipeline coming, and one of the kids is, I believe, a freshman, and he's as fast as anyone as they've had over there, and they've had some fast kids. So it's I don't think the well is dry in Ashland.
I like a good. It's fun to have it like fresh, hot. The hot freshmen coming in, like just
watch them all 4 years. It's super fun.
Yeah,
right. We had a couple area teams still alive in Region 14 and Division 4. Top seeded Shelby and number 2 Galion both cruise through their regional quarterfinal games. The Whippets blanked number 9 Orville 42-0. The Tigers pulled away in the second half of a 41-10 win over Cloverleaf. I'm not sure what seed they were, but Hayden, you're not only our producer, you're the North County reporter and our Shelby football beat reporter. Are these Whippets as good as the 2016 team you were a part of, or the 2017 team?
Would you guys beat them?
But no. Definitely better than any team that I played on, and that's no knock on the guy. I wasn't really that big of a part of it, so
listening.
But what they're doing this year is just incredible. The 2017 team was the first Shelby team to ever make a Final Four, a state semifinal, and that's quite the accomplishment given the history of the program. There's so many variables when it comes to comparing, so I won't even continue to go down that rabbit hole. But it's been hard to craft the stories after each game, and you have to watch because you could write a story about Braden DeVito every game, and he could be the focus. So I think, you wrote about it this week, Curt. Their defense is the most overlooked part of them because defense isn't as flashy as offense. Right. You're not scoring touchdowns, but 4 shutouts. Including last week in the postseason, and I know that's up there with some kind of record.
Sure.
For the most in a season, and that's what you have to really lean on as the defense because offensively there's a lot of film out now, and you kind of saw it last week with Orville. They did not want to give Shelby the ball.
Right.
It was a 3-0 game after the first. I don't know the last time that Shelby's scored that few points in the first quarter, and it's been years since a field goal, but. Teams are have game plans of keeping Shelby's offense off the field, so you got to count on that defense, and they show that they're up to the task. So that's going to be big for them to lean on, especially as the competition just gets tougher.
Right. And we've talked a lot. We had Braden in the podcast studio. He is one of the most prolific players in North Central Ohio history.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say. And you and I have talked a little bit about this off there. I wonder what position, like, if he's on the 2017 team, do you move Brennan Armstrong out of the quarterback position and let Braden play quarterback, or do you leave Brennan Armstrong there? I mean,
It's so hard.
I mean, yeah, it's just. I mean, that would be a great problem to have, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard because they're such completely different athletes.
Right.
Everything about them, Brennan's more of the traditional quarterback build. So I mean, I don't know what you would do that in scenario, but it's been nice to know too, though, that like, there's been a lot of comparisons of them just with Braden's success as he's come up through the ranks,
right.
and to hear Brennan be such a big supporter of him. I've always known how good Brennan's character is, but it's awesome to see that he's kind of been
Right.
Someone Brady can go to and be a mentor and celebrate and applaud his successes. So it's nice to have a guy like that in your corner.
Yeah, absolutely. Shelby's going to have their hands full on Friday night.
They are.
Four-seeded Lima Bath comes to town. The Wildcats had the top-ranked scoring offense and top total offense in the Western Buckeye League. They averaged 40.9 points and 483.3 yards per game in the regular season. Opened the playoffs with a 21-0 win over Bellevue. Now Shelby beat Bellevue 49-6 in Week 3, but comparing scores with common opponent, that's a dangerous game to play.
Especially in high school football.
Different time of year too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that Bellevue was a better team. Later, both Shelby and Bath were better teams too.
Oh, yeah.
So it's it's just you can throw all that stuff out the window.
Yeah, you were talking about the Shelby defense shutting out Orville, and I just looked up Orville's schedule, and they hadn't been shut out all year.
Yeah,
so that's not a shutting out Highland in Week 5 or whatever. I mean that's
right.
That's impressive to do that. So this will obviously be a huge test. Is this Bath offense the best offense Shelby's faced all year, you think?
I mean, I haven't had a chance. Hayden kind of takes care of the Northern County for me. I haven't seen Shelby in a couple of years, but I mean, just looking at stats on paper, statistically, this team is really good. Zach Welsh is the quarterback at Bath.
Throw some of that out there.
2,776 yards and 20 touchdowns passing. He rushed for 926 yards and 18 touchdowns. These are regular season numbers. Mikey Hale rushed for 1,005 yards and 19 touchdowns, and the same kid caught 70 passes for 702 yards, and he's not even the leading receiver with 70 receptions. They have a kid, Josiah Clark, who caught 73 balls for 924 yards and 11 scores. I mean, that Shelby defense is good, and they're gonna have to be at their best on Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, when I talked to Coach Mahaney after last week's game, I mean, he said it's definitely no secret, right? This is a Lima team that wants to go 4 or 5 wide, empty backfield, and they want to score 60 points. So that reminds me a lot of the team they're going to play. They both like to score. They like to score fast. They like to get creative on offense. So this will be the biggest test. Yes, I think it's safe to say probably the best offense that they've gone against in quite some time.
Right.
That's not a knock on a team like Galion, which we'll talk about, which put up a substantial amount of points
on them.
Right.
I was looking. No other teams even got more than 2 touchdowns on Shelby this year.
Right. Yeah, and so I think this will be a different style offense from what Galion likes to do. Jacob Chambers, their wide receiver, who we believe didn't play last week, and I think might be done. I don't know for sure, but he's kind of their top guy. This is a team that sounds like you got to be very selective on who you have matched up with who.
Right.
It's going to be a busy night for Braden, who plays both sides of the ball. I mean, Brady Bowman too, guys in their backfield. They're going to be tested stamina-wise.
It's going to be a busy night for the guy running the scoreboard, I think.
Yeah.
He's
shut off last week, so hopefully it doesn't shut off this week.
They might burn some bulbs out this week. That's
because
sure.
Bath seems to give up some points too.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not haven't watched any Lima Bath this year personally.
Really,
but
Zach?
Just
Come on,
looking at their schedule,
I'm watching them
and
every
I know
week.
you can't always go by box scores, but
we got to find some highlights.
They've been in some shootouts.
Right. And that brings us to, I think, the most under-the-radar team in North Central Ohio, the Galion Tigers. Galion's in the regional semifinals for the first time since Ronald Reagan was president.
Wow.
And the Cold War was still a thing back then. Lee Owens led Galion to North Central Ohio's first and only to date state championship in 1985. And this is Galion's first appearance in the regional semifinal since then. So it's
Zach, you weren't even born.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just a youngster.
Yeah, Curt was a wee lad,
and I'm an old timer now. So I mean, to get here, I mean, and they, it's not like they haven't been to the playoffs. They've been there, but again, it's building and building, and they finally kind of broke down that door this year.
Yeah, I'm very excited for Coach Matt Dick and all those guys because we talked earlier about embracing conference titles, and they've been consistently good. It's just Shelby's a little bit better, and so they haven't been able to pick up those. So for them to be able to get this far for the first time in that long, that's got to be, you don't need much more motivation than that when you're strapped up then and going out on the field because I don't know. I'm sure they would like another shot at Shelby as well. That's another motivator for them.
Sure.
Galion surprise team of the year for you, or did you?
I thought they'd be good. I didn't know if
you wouldn't have said they were going to make their first regional semifinals since 1985.
Probably not. I don't know that anybody.
No, I don't.
Anybody saw that coming. I mean, they did have some pieces in place to be sure. I mean, last year quarterback was kind of a question mark. They juggled a couple different guys, but this year they've gotten some consistent quarterback play, and that's kind of powered the engine a little bit there. I mean, they when we talked about it, they played Shelby in the MOAC, the Mid-Ohio Athletic Conference opener. It was in week 4.
Yeah.
Galion lost 45-34. They haven't lost since.
No.
And I mean, and you were there that night, Hayden. I mean, the Tigers were able to do some things that's a lot of teams weren't able to do against that team.
Yeah, I mean, they had, yes, they had the Whippets on the ropes. They had a lead in that game, which I don't believe anybody else has ever held a lead,
right?
Unless it was an early score, and that was it. So I know that after that game, Coach Dick, that was a tough one for them to swallow. I mean, that's a rough way to open up conference play, but honestly, it was probably good because I think it's something Effie talks a lot about too, like watching film on a team that loses. Still, like that was good film for them to have to see what a team at Shelby's level did against them to cause them to lose, and it seems like they've done nothing but work on those fundamentals and those things that they thought were weaknesses ever since.
Yeah, and we talked about Jacob Chambers. He kind of torched Shelby that night.
3 touchdowns.
Yeah, he was injured in the regular season finale against Clear Fork. Didn't play last week. I don't really know.
I don't know the status.
I haven't had a chance to.
We got to know. We got to find out.
Right, yeah, for the betting line purposes.
The game's tomorrow, right?
Right.
Well, today, if you're listening today.
But, I mean, suffice to say, Galion could use all the weapons it has against a Sandusky-Perkins team that has kind of found its footing after losing. They lost 3 of their first 4, including a loss at Clear Fork in the opener. Okay. They've won 8 straight since then and outscored 2 playoff opponents by a score of 82-7. Receiver Blake Parker is putting up video game numbers. It's 75 catches, 1,332 yards, 11 touchdowns.
Goodness.
The quarterback, Sam Schweinfurth, I believe is how you say it, 27 touchdown passes and 1 interceptions. The Tigers, they'll have their hands full.
I'm trying to remember, obviously we don't regularly cover Perkins, so I'm not sure what their roster looks like compared to last year, but obviously state runners up. They took out Ontario to get to the state semifinal,
right? And
that was a game I covered up in Tiffin, and Ontario made a push, but I mean,
that's right, they were really
good.
Yeah,
that was a fantastic Ontario team who beat Shelby at Arlen Field and found themselves against Perkins, and that was a night where Cooper Kilgore really kind of got discovered, who was great for Ontario this past season, and so yeah, I mean, I think everyone was pretty shocked by their week 1 result earlier this year on a last second heartbreaker, but they by no means are an easy elimination. It's always a well coached team. They're always really tough. So yeah, I mean, it'll be a test. That's a really appealing game to watch this week.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, Perkins beat Glenville in the state semifinals last year to get to the state championship game, and then they lost in the state final to Indian Valley by a point. I mean,
that's a great Indian Valley team.
So that's all that experience. But those guys that were part of that team last year. I mean, that's hard. You can't coach that kind of experience. That's just
no.
That's
on fantastic50.net, he's got Perkins by 2 over Galion. That kind of surprises me. I thought Perkins would be a bigger favorite. Maybe, after those first few losses, I don't know what they were. Last year that team was a force.
Right.
I remember looking at that team last year against Ontario, that team with Bodpen, and Ontario put up a game, but so that's seems like it's going to be a close game. I hope it is, and I'd love to see Galion and Shelby.
I think everybody around here wants
our
to
coverage
see
area.
It'll be interesting to see where they play that game, a Galion Shelby game. I mean,
and that would be if they both win. That would be
the regional final.
Regional final.
And Arlen Field seems like an appetizing venue, but they sometimes save Arlen for the D1s and D2s. So I guess it just depends.
They wouldn't play it at Shelby, would they?
Oh no, you can't let them play at home. And they're probably going to they'll probably have Shelby play or hosting a different
they'll use that
championship
venue.
Game too. Yeah, so
I think everyone's getting flashbacks to last year. That night was fantastic in Arlen Field history. I don't know. I don't know how population stacks up with Galion in Ontario. Galion seems a little bit smaller community, so I don't know if they would elect to have that game if a bigger one won at Arlen, but we would certainly love it.
Yeah, absolutely. We could walk to walk down.
Don't need to worry about parking.
In Region 23 of Division 5, there's kind of a pseudo double area game when top-seeded Centerburg hosts number 5 Colonel Crawford, who's just across the border in Crawford County. Centerburg beat a good Ridgewood team 28-14 last week. Crawford went to Mount Gilead and cruised to a 42-8 win. Centerburg beat Mount Gilead 46-0 in Knox Morrow Athletic Conference play. Again, you can't go comparing scores against light or common opponents. But Miles Marshall for Centerburg scored all 4 touchdowns in the playoff opener. He's rushed for 1,548 yards, 25 touchdowns, averages more than 10 yards a carry. Blaine Ball, the quarterback, has thrown for almost 1,300 yards and 14 touchdowns, rushed for 1,100 yards and 11 more scores. He was the KMAC Player of the Year. Hayden Love, a deep threat receiver, 26 catches, 517 yards and 7 touchdowns. And the tight end Jackson Ballinger, a kid we had in here a few weeks back. He's got more than 20 Division I offers and was a game day visitor at Ohio State when the Buckeyes hosted Penn State a couple weeks ago. So that Centerburg team's got some pieces.
They absolutely do. Miles Marshall is a name that I hear a lot.
Right.
Obviously, the stats show that. I think this is probably my second favorite local interest game that I would have circled. I think it's fun. Two teams that I don't know if they've ever played each other, maybe, but they're kind of comparable.
Right.
They feel like they run very much of a similar program, and it'll be interesting to see. But Centerburg's got a ton of weapons, and when we had Jackson in here, that's the kind of guy you like to have putting the helmet on for you.
Absolutely. Now, I think the KMAC is a little better top to bottom in terms of depth and balance, but the N10 is top heavy, and Crawford and Cary were at the top of that league, and 2 very good teams. So it's again, I think it's pretty comparable conferences they're coming out of too. So it should be a doozy.
Yeah, I think it was even a race really to the end in the N10. I think there was a lot of teams that were in it still. I think this year, like Mohawk, I think Seneca East even had a chance to grab a share. So definitely another instance where having conference play that gets you ready for the playoffs is a huge benefit.
Right.
Now Centerburg's the 1 seed in their region. Do you know anything about the other side, the West Jefferson and Fort Fry?
I think Fort Fry is really good this year. Now that's and we'll get to
they were the 2 seed. They had a bye.
Yeah, and I think they if memory serves, they're favored to win that region on Pasteur site. But that's a really good team from South. I mean, that Region 23 encompasses Southeast Ohio, and that's a pretty good hike from North Central Ohio down to Beverly, which is the town. Fort Fry's the high school. But I would think that would. I mean, whoever comes out of this semifinal up here between Centerburg and Crawford, they're gonna have their hands full with that Fort Fry team.
Yeah,
most likely.
Yeah. That brings us to Region 27 of Division 7, and to nobody's surprise, Hillsdale and Danville are still alive. I told anyone who would listen back in May when the OHSA released its regional assignments that the Falcons and Blue Devils would probably duke it out for the regional championship, and here we are.
Yeah, we got to see this matchup last year in the state semifinal. It was a fantastic game.
It was.
So yes, would absolutely love to see these two teams go again. Hillsdale's not really shocked. I don't want to say that in a negative way. They're expected to kind of be here. They're doing what they're supposed to do. Zach, you mentioned it earlier. Danville's kind of the team that has struggled a little bit more than they have in past seasons, but Coach Bloom's team this year, they look like the Danville of the past few years, and they're hitting their stride at the exact right time.
Yeah, they always seem to find a way. Hillsdale's the top seed in that region. They cruised 63-6 over Conotton Valley, and that was every bit as lopsided as the final score suggested. It was 56-0 at halftime. Hillsdale's the defending state runner-up, and looks like they could. They look pretty darn good right now. We talked to a record-setting running back, Owen Sloan, a couple of weeks ago, and he told us that anything less than another state finals appearance would be a disappointment. And they, I mean, you don't want to look too far down the road, but they seem to be headed in that direction, at least pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, they are 38-point favorites this week on Fantastic 50, and yeah, got to take care of business though.
Yeah, Danville kind of staggered across the finish line and was.
Danville looks to be underdogs in this game.
Right, they were 5-5 in the KMAC. I think they finished fourth in the league or something like that, and all they've done since then is outscored two tournament opponents, both road games, and it was 113-8 in those two games.
Got to get
road warriors
hot at the right time.
All this from a number 11 seed in the region. They are one of just three number 11 seeds still playing this weekend. Danville is Danville, and they're doing Danville things.
Yeah, and sometimes, I mean, I don't know. Every athlete individually is going to have their preference too, but maybe this is what this group this year they like. Maybe they're thriving off the fact that they do have to go on the road. Everyone's going to view that differently, but maybe they've just bought into the mentality that it's just going to be a business trip, that they're going to go handle business, and they enjoy being kind of that Cinderella.
Right.
Now, do you know where a Hillsdale-Danville potential matchup would take place?
It was in Shelby last year. That would be an awfully enticing.
Be great.
And hopefully
venue.
all these things happen. So if you're listening to this, like Saturday, for example, it's still relevant because all the teams
and that we didn't jinx it all.
All the teams we talked about won, and yeah.
Right. Hillsdale hosts the 4th seed. There's Sims Valley. Sims Valley is coming to Drumville from a place called Willow Wood, which is in extreme southern Ohio. The bus ride is more than 3 hours and 20 minutes. I was looking at
basically in West Virginia.
I was looking earlier today, and they are actually closer to Hurley, Virginia.
Okay, Virginia.
Than they are to Drum. We're not talking West Virginia. That's just across. They're closer to a town in Virginia than they are to Drumsville. So
that's brutal.
It's hard to understand how the regional alignment worked out, but here we are.
That's wild.
Meanwhile, Danville will make its third lengthy road trip. This one's to Waterford, which is just across the Muskingum River from Beverly, which is where Fort Fry is, and just up the street from Parkersburg, West Virginia.
Okay.
Danville's first 2 playoff games were in Steubenville and Lancaster, so it's not
Golly, that's rough. That's hard.
They are road warriors.
They're built for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and I think if you're Coach Matt Bloom, you're absolutely pointing that out. Look, fellas, this is nothing new to us.
No, when you are making those trips, you're playing 2 opponents. You're going to play the game, and then you're going to play everything beforehand. Because I will not say or claim that everything, your pregame routine or everything leads up to that. But man, I remember being a teenager. It's hard to sit on a bus that long.
Those
and
bus rides suck.
Especially,
school buses are not comfortable.
Especially this time of year. It's cold. It doesn't get warm until you're damn near to West Virginia.
Yeah. I don't know if a coach bus is in the tickets for them, but they deserve it.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's with budgets the way they are, then you're riding the big yellow dog.
That's right.
Danville is like I said, they finished fifth in the KMAC.
Yeah.
Siren Wallace, the running back, has rushed for 1,258 yards as a sophomore and 18 touchdowns. This after rushing for 1,000 yards as a freshman last year and getting to the state semifinals. Quarterback Parker Proper is thrown for over 1,000 yards. Six different Blue Devils have at least 100 receiving yards on the season. A win would send Danville to a regional championship game for the 4th straight year. They were regional runners-up in Region 25 2 years in a row, and then they won Region 27 last year. Played Hillsdale in that thriller at Shelby last year. It was 25-22. On a brutally
miserable night.
It was brutally cold. That was the one time I didn't mind sitting in the press box instead of taking pictures. But if it all works out, I think we'll get hopefully we'll have that rematch.
Yeah, I would love to see it again because it was one of those games where it's like no matter who, my mind just went to I wonder what Danville would have looked like last year against Marion Local. I mean, I'm not saying they would have won, but so I don't know. Maybe we'll get a shocking difference this year and have that possibility be existent. But I just would really appreciate getting to see these two programs go back at it again. They're both super well coached and exciting to see guys like Siren Wallace as a sophomore. I mean, that's incredible.
And I was poking around this afternoon. He's flirting with some. I mean, I think Danville's career rushing leader. I mean, that's if you've rushed for 1,000 yards as a freshman and a sophomore,
set
that's
yourself up pretty
all,
good.
All of a sudden, that's in sight. I mean, their career rushing leader is I'm not sure who he is. It's in the 4,000s.
So he's on pace.
He is on pace to get there. So I guess that's where we stand here going into the regional semifinals. The weather's supposed to cooperate Friday night, so
no snow games.
And there's four teams playing home games. So if do yourself a favor and go find a football stadium this weekend,
support 'em.
And hopefully we'll get back to our normally scheduled programming next week. We'll get a guest back in here, but thanks for listening and tune in next week. Thanks.